Yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Let me wait a few more seconds. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna start. All right. So I do want to start by talking about this is one phrase that I heard a lot, especially when I was younger. So treat people how you would like to be treated. So those were the words that basically what I learned, especially when I was like in grade school. But as I was growing up, being that nice guy that I've kind of always been, never really got me anywhere, especially in romantic relationships. So the truth is, oh wait, sorry about the cat. But growing up, that never really worked out for me. The truth is, being too nice without having any type of boundaries, you're setting yourself up for being in platonic relationships. Because being kind with no boundaries, they don't really see that as being kind. A lot of people see that as being very submissive, and that's not a very masculine thing to have. So in this video, I'll show you how to stay kind without being a doormat and how to earn respect without losing compassion. Now, if you're new here, my name is Mitchell and I'm a relationship coach. And in today's live video, I'll be talking about kindness without boundaries invites abuse. Excuse me, got some cat here. All right, so nice guys don't create emotional tension. I'm gonna repeat that again. Nice guys do not create emotional tension. Now, before I start, I like to give you guys, here's an example. This would be a good example. I just saw this here. Now, you want tension in a relationship. You don't want unnecessary tension, but you want some tension because it helps create chemistry within the relationship, right? That's how you create that spark. So if you see this rope, even though it's a charger, you see this rope, what ends up happening is what nice guys do is they take away the tension. There is no tension between you and her. And you have to learn how to create some sort of tension between you two so that she could think about you, to wonder about you, basically to spark an interest. So nice guys, what they end up doing is that they create safety without the spark. Creating safety without any type of chemistry equals friendship. So if you ever heard a girl say like, well, I kind of just see you as a friend, or I wouldn't like to lose a friend like you. I mean, I've been told that many times in the past. And I was just kind of always just wondering why does it happen? And why does it happen to me and not the other guys? Because they seem like they got it all figured out. Now, when you're too nice, what you're really doing is that, like I said, you're removing tension and you're removing the polarity, the sexual polarity between you and her. You're trying to make her feel safe and comfortable, which you should do as a guy. However, there is no emotional edge left. There is no, like I said, there's no tension. She doesn't feel like she is attracted to you. Now, while safety, like I said, is important, too much safety or only safety kills attraction. That's why you hear the term Mr. White Knight. I hear that term a lot. And basically, Mr. White Knight is just, example is, it's a slang term for a guy, usually someone online. He defends women, hoping for a romantic favor. Now, a woman doesn't want a man who just agrees with her with everything she says. Basically, a yes man, aka a doormat. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, absolutely. Now, she wants someone who's genuine, a man who holds his frame, stands his ground, someone who can be kind but firm at the same time, but compassionate but not being too passive. Now, when you remove tension, when there's no friction between you and her, I'm talking about just a little bit of friction, not causing drama, okay? Just having a little friction, right? Playful banters and things like that. When you remove that tension and you just kind of nice, she starts to feel like everything that is happening between you two is just a friendship, not a romantic interest. So, like I said, she sees you as a friend. Now, a nice guy removes that space between, he's afraid of losing her. He removes everything in between that. It's kind of like what my coach said. He said somewhere between, he's like, what makes music beautiful? It's the spaces in between the notes. It's the spaces in between the notes. Otherwise, it would just be noise. So when you're listening and you're understanding, like, women need time and space away from you to wonder about you, to think about you. Now, if you're always kind and you're always available, you're not building any tension, she doesn't miss you, why would she need to wonder about you? You're always available at any moment. So that's why women likes mystery. They enjoy the chase. Even though the guy in the beginning pursues her, she wants to be the one that chases you. Nice guys remove all of that. He becomes super available and he never allows her to chase. Because if she doesn't chase him, she doesn't see any type of value in that. Now, it's ironic, right? A nice guy removes that space because he's afraid of losing her. And it's ironic because that fear is exactly the same fear that pushes her away. Now, when a man is overly nice, he removes, like I said, all the challenges, all the mystery. She feels safe, but like I said, she doesn't feel attracted. Women are drawn to men who could hold their ground. Women are drawn to men who could hold their ground. Not the guy that basically bends over backwards like a pretzel trying to avoid conflict. If she senses that your kindness comes from a place of losing her or you don't want to lose her, that's not genuine strength. And eventually her attraction will fade away. And this goes for being in the beginning phase, the courtship phase, long-term relationships, marriages. Like a lot of guys, they just they stop dating and courting the woman once they get together. They're like, well, I need to save money. I need to do this. I need to do it. And there's different phases in a relationship. And if you don't know how to cooperate during those phases, you're gonna lose her. And eventually another man will take your place. So let's talk about that niceness, that nice guy. And nice often just means that you're afraid. You're afraid of losing her. You don't want to risk hurting her feelings, You're just afraid. You just kind of back off. There's a lack of confidence within it. Now, basically, that's the hidden truth, right? A lot of men use a lot of kindness as this type of camouflage or a mask because of his fear. He is fearful. Fear of what? Well, he could be fearful of conflict. He could be fear of rejection, fear of not being liked by her, or just, being fearful of just losing her. Now, he says yes when he really wants to say no. He overgives. He overgives, hoping it earns your affection, aka a bribe for sex. Now, even when I was younger, starting out like just straight out of high school, there was this one chick that I was talking to, and like I said, I didn't know anything. But what I did know was I was broke and I couldn't afford a lot of stuff. Now, there was a lot of guys around her because she was an attractive young lady, and all these guys would just constantly buy her gifts. But yet, I'm sitting on a sideline. At this point, I didn't even drive. She was driving me around. And she obviously liked me as a person because of who I was, and I was just a kind person. But like I said, I didn't risk anything. I was just afraid of losing her. So there would be certain things that I wouldn't say at all, and I would never really stand up for myself. And so she didn't see any strength within me. She saw me as kind and that you're a nice guy, but a woman doesn't care how nice of a guy you are. She needs to know how much she likes you. So in this case, me being nice really just got slapped with I only see you as a friend. I don't see you as anything else beyond that. Now, here's the thing. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and not be nice. True kindness comes from abundance. True kindness comes from abundance. Now, because if you have a deep sense of self-worth and you have a lot of inner security, being needy, being clingy, seeking validation is far less likely to happen. Now, a man who knows his worth and gives freely because he chooses to and he wants to give because that's who he is as a person and not because he's trying to earn something, that's true abundance. When your kindness is rooted in fear, though, if your kindness is just rooted in fear, she can't trust your masculine core. She doesn't trust you. She's like, this is just a bribe for sex, basically. I'm buying you all these things. I'm taking you out to dinner. And you don't stand firm. You can't I mean, I'm not saying that, oh, just disagree with her. But there's going to come a time where you guys will have differences. Some sort of differences. You guys cannot be exactly alike, all right? There's going to be some differences. That's where you stand your ground. I don't believe in that. I really don't believe in that. I agree to disagree. I agree to disagree. I don't believe what you believe in is factual. And I will explain my end. Now, as long as it doesn't go against your core values, then that's something that will kind of brush away, okay? But if it's something like, oh, here's an example. She wants to have kids, but you do not want kids. But you're looking for a long-term relationship, and so is she. If she's looking for a long-term relationship, and you are looking for a long-term relationship, good, that match. Good core values. Those are your goals. But she doesn't, she wants kid, and you don't. What's gonna end up happening is eventually you're gonna find a way. You guys are gonna break up. If she's like, I need to have a kid by blah, 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 blah time. All right, well, I don't think I'm the right match for you. I really don't. And you're willing to walk away from that, right? So, like I said, when your kindness is rooted in fear, she can't trust your masculine core. She can't trust you to trust in your strength. Now, a woman who can't feel attracted to a man, she doesn't trust to stand firm when life basically tests him. Now, the reality is most men aren't being kind out of being confident. They're not kind because they're confident within themselves. They're kind because, like I said, they're fearful of losing her. And they're being kind out of their own insecurities. They avoid speaking up, like I said, when they really want to say no, they say yes. Or expressing disagreements because, like I said, he's afraid of losing her. But when a woman actually respects a man who can stand firm in his own truth, like, hey, that's not something that I truly believe in. And I understand that's what you want. That's not what I want. And I can walk away from that. And that's true abundance, right? Now, even when it causes this type of friction between you and her, it's like, well, I don't want to do that. So here's another example. If you decided that, hey, as a man, you decided that I want to live in, I don't know, Texas, California, New York, Florida, whatever place you're at in the world. And you're like, I'm not going to move. This is where I want to be. And you're in this long-term relationship. Well, obviously, this is something that you guys want to discuss about. Like, what do you have in the future? What do you want to do in the future? Is that place, and this is a guy speaking to a woman, or a woman, or your girlfriend, or whatever. It's like, well, is that something that you want to do? Is moving across the country or wherever you're at, is that something that's, what's up, Didi? Is that something that you're willing to do? I'm not forcing you to do it, but is that something that you're willing to do? And if she's like, no, absolutely not, I'm staying in Florida and you live in California, well, guess what? It's not going to really happen, right? Well, in the meantime, I guess we could just, we could just be cool. We could be friends with benefits, but I'm not really looking to just stay friends. Why? Because I have romantic interest in you, and I don't want to just sit around pretending to be your friend. Now, is that risking friction? Yeah, it might cause a little friction because she's like, well, I want a friend too. I don't want to just lose you completely. But at least you're a man, and you stay your ground, and you speak from your truth, and that's what you want. And she has nothing but respect for you. She will have nothing but respect for you. Even though she doesn't like it, she will have to respect it. Because if she doesn't want that, you walk away. So think of this as a negotiation. So, like I said, he doesn't worry about risking this type of friction. She feels safe around him, emotionally safe with him because he's emotionally anchored. So think of it as a rock in the ocean. You want to be that rock in the ocean for that woman, or for any woman in particular, assuming that your natural essence is more masculine. Usually in a heterosexual relationship, usually the man is the masculine, and the woman is a little bit more feminine. Now, in today's world, in this modern society, a lot of women are starting to make a lot of money. They could provide for themselves, and they don't really need a man. Well, they don't need a man to provide because they could earn, earn significant income and take care of themselves. But what she's really missing is a really masculine man. So even here's another example. Even if, let's just say, my girlfriend makes more money than me, that's not gonna make me feel less than her. That's not gonna make me feel less than, because I'm confident within myself that I could still build myself. So a lot of women are very interested in men that has unrealized potential. And that's something that you need to work on as a guy. And that's why I express so much about having a purpose, having a mission, staying grounded, be who you are, know what you want, and go for that. That is very fucking attractive. And I can't express that enough, all right? So, now the last thing I do want to talk about is, because a lot of guys on the internet, they get this twisted. They get being in control. Like, oh, I need to be more assertive. And absolutely, I think being assertive is the best thing that you can do. But you still have to have a little bit of wiggle room. It's not about being controlling. And so boundaries is not about control. Okay? Having boundaries is not about having control. Control, if you really think about that, it's an illusion. It's not real. The only real control that you have is within yourself. You can't control her. And so boundaries aren't about control. They're about self-respect. They're about having self-respect. And here's what a lot of guys, like I said, they get wrong. Boundaries isn't about controlling her. They're about controlling yourself. That's really ultimately what it is. It's not that you can't do that. It's I'm not okay with that. And if you're gonna continue to do that, I'm just gonna walk away, because that does not align with my goals. It definitely does not align with my values. And when you're asking, like, Mitchell, what do you mean by goals and values? Like, goals could be like having a kid, not having a kid, right? That's a goal. But having certain values. And it's like, well, I'm a Christian, but well, I'm a Buddhist, or I'm an atheist. And she's like, well, I always want to go to church. And you're like, I really don't care about going to church because I'm not Christian. So, well, what's gonna happen is it's gonna cause a lot of friction. Eventually, she's like, well, I want you to go. And you're like, well, I don't want to go. So if you're constantly waking up every Sunday and you're like, I don't want, what do you think that's gonna happen within a relationship, right? So it's gonna downward spiral. So anyways, boundaries, like, it's got a little sidetracked, but boundaries aren't about control, right? It's not saying that you can't do that. It's, I'm not okay with that. So you're saying that if, like I said, if your moral compass or value do not align with mine, or that it goes against my belief, you're saying that I don't think that we're the right fit for each other. I don't think we're good for each other, at least not in this period of our time, or of our lives. The difference is between those two is that one is controlling, the other one is having self-respect for yourself. Now, a man with boundaries, okay, a masculine man with boundaries is not aggressive. I've always said this, where men who understands women do not argue with them. Men who understands women do not argue with them. You don't argue with your women. You would never win, okay? You could disagree. There's certain things that you don't agree with. And if you don't agree with it, you can walk away, but you don't argue with her. And the reason why is whenever you argue, think about it in this perspective. Anytime you speak a lot, you talk about yourself, how you feel, it's feminine energy. And so that's why, like I said, it goes back and forth. There's a lot of guys on the internet saying, oh, don't ever express your feelings. That's not, I do not believe in that. What I do believe in though is you could express how you feel. Why? Because you're human. You're gonna have feelings. So to suppress that is not real. What I am saying is if you are gonna have this dump out of expressing how you feel, how you should frame it is, even though I am having this trouble, this obstacle, this is kind of frustrating me and I don't know how to figure it out right now, eventually I will have a solution. But I appreciate you listening to me. Now, here's one thing I do want to express though. She is not your mommy and she is not your therapist. You don't go to her to express everything that you feel and dump it onto her. She's not your mommy. She's not your therapist. Hello. What's up, Daniel? Don't get that mixed up with, I have some things that I want to say, and it's okay to express certain things, but you should, like I said, you should frame it in a way where you're still a man that has feelings. You're a masculine man, but there is some sort of feminine energy within you, and men have feminine energy. It's not as much as women. So in that case, think of it like a box, right? Or a sharp edge. Feminine energy for a man, what it does for a man is that it smooths out the rough edges so that he could take a step back and understand men and women operate very different. Women like to talk about their problems and express how they feel. And so when they talk about things and you listen as a guy and you ask questions like, oh, how did that make you feel? How could I have said this a little bit differently where, like, I'm not trying to upset you. Maybe I said it wrong. How would you like me to approach it next time? And then let her describe it so that it shows that you're listening and it shows that you're trying to understand her. Men who understands women are loved by women. So if you want to be a guy that can understand women, start listening a lot more and stop trying to fix her problems, because I get it. I'm a guy too. So even when my girl tells me like, oh, I'm like, I want to fix that problem. But instead, what I just say is, an example is fitness. I want to just be like, you need to do this and you need to do that. I'm just like, well, if that's how you feel about your body right now, what do you think you could do that could change that? By asking these questions, she will figure it out. Like, well, if you want to become stronger, what do you think you would need to do? Well, I just need to start lifting weights. Oh, okay. Well, how many days a week do you plan on working out? Well, right now I just want to start slow. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Well, how many days is it's starting slow? Oh, twice a week. Okay, well, twice a week. Well, and here's the beauty of this too. If you ever want to give your 2 cents, ask her. Just be like, because if you're unsure, ask. Well, would you mind if I give you a suggestion? Or do you want me to just listen? She will tell you. She would be like, no, I just want you to listen. Okay, then you take a step back, let go of the gas. What is going on? Let go of the gas and just let her talk. But if she doesn't mind you, she doesn't mind it, well, guess what? Then you'd be like, well, I think if you're going to work out twice a week and you want to build strength twice a week, they've done a lot of studies that, lifting twice a week within the same muscle group, you're going, hello. Yeah, if you work out twice a week and you target the same muscle groups, there's significant growth. So if that's something that interests you, I think you should really do that. I really think you should. You'd be like, oh, thank you for the suggestion. But basically what you just said is you're taking your feet off the gas and you allow her to make a choice. Because if you think about it in this perspective, love is allowing. Love isn't about force. Being in a relationship, you're there to support each other to grow. A lot of people get it twisted. They get into a relationship thinking about what I could get out of it. That is not a relationship. You might as well just be solo. But because people don't understand how being in a relationship is, they get it mixed up. Why? Because they heard it from their friends. They've seen it from their parents. Like, this is what love is, like, oh, my mom always get yelled at by my dad, or my mom yells at my dad. Like, that's what, especially if you're a young kid and you grew up in that type of household, you're gonna believe that love equals yelling, love equals fighting, arguments, and then you sit down at a dinner table and make jokes about it. That's what it is. And now, if you want to remove that type of drama in your life, you have to start by removing it from yourself. You have to understand, I still have a lot of shit that I need to uncover and start letting go. But basically, if I were to make it an example, think of life as like this, right? When you crumble a piece of paper, you're like, I don't need it anymore. You toss it in a bag. And you've done that your entire life. You write something up, I don't need it, I toss it back. Most people don't look back and realize how much trash and junk they have, and they don't realize, uh-oh, don't do that. Sorry, I have a cat. Give me 1 second. Okay, Miso. Okay, so, sorry, I didn't want her to get hurt. All right, my apologies, I got a little distracted. But anyways, let me just go back. All right, setting boundaries. Okay, it's basically you're saying that I have self-respect for myself. Now, he's a man with boundaries. Is not argumentative. He doesn't argue. He doesn't guilt trip his lady. He just communicates what he wants, what his standards are. But he communicates. Please don't do that. Sit. Thank you. Sit. He communicates calmly. Okay. And women are like cats, okay? Women are like cats. You can't force them to stay if they don't want to. But she seems like she wants to. You can't be upset if she wants to leave. She left. I can't be upset at that, right? Good example. So, you have standards. You're calm. You express how you feel calmly, okay? You just communicate. You have to learn how to communicate. Basically, that's what strength is. That is what strength is. And he has no problem walking away from what disrespects him. Gonna listen while driving? Okay. Yeah, please. Don't do anything else but listen. Now, if you're a man and you want to understand what makes her feel safe and attracted to you, you're not trying to dominate her now. Maybe if that's what she wants, and that's a little different story, all right? Being dominated there's a time and place for everything. I remember my senior high school, my senior year in high school, my teacher once told me, Mitchell, there is a time and place for everything. There's always a time and place for everything. Right now, it's not the time. Okay, right now, it's not the time. And that kind of just stuck with me. And, it led me thinking, like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean that there's a time and place for everything? So, it's learning how to gauge things, right? To be a little bit more socially accepted, but it starts from you understanding how to communicate with women. There's certain things that you can say in the beginning, and there's certain things that you probably shouldn't say in the beginning, especially if you're just trying to get to know them, right? Like, I could make sexual jokes to my girl all day. There's a limit, but I could. I'm not gonna just walk. Now, if she wasn't my girl, I'm not just gonna walk up to her and be like, damn, those are you. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that. Time and place. Time and place. You gotta work. You gotta earn that. You gotta earn that place. So a lot of guys, you have to be patient, okay? Now, so setting boundaries. Back to setting boundaries. Setting boundaries, like I said, is not about telling her what she can or cannot do. It's about communicating what you will and will not tolerate. And just remember, whatever you tolerate, you invite more of. And the example that I gave earlier of I'm not comfortable with that versus you can't do that, there's a big difference. And the boundaries that you have, boundaries show that you have standard and self-respect. And that is what is attractive. Now, there's a difference because control, men who don't know how to control themselves needs to feel like they need to control other people. When you control other people, aka controlling her, control chases her away. Grounded confidence, emotionally grounded, emotionally regulated men who doesn't get upset, grounded confidence draws her in. And so you're like, well, Mitchell, well, how does that look like? Well, being grounded with confidence means that, here's an example. If I know I have two phones. If I gave her a call, I would be like, or I texted her and I said to her, hey, I'd love to take you out to eat, blah, blah, blah. When's a good time? She's like, and I thought she was interested because why? I'm giving her she knows I'm interested. She knows that I'm not just gonna want to be just her friend, right? Like, yeah, I'd love to get to know you a little bit more. Like, when are you free? What's your availability? And then she gives you there's two options. She could give you a solid answer, be like, I'm Friday after 7. Cool. All right. Friday after 7. We could meet over here. How does that sound? That's still being assertive. You're just giving her an option of what she likes. There's two places that's really good. I'd love to take you, but I would like you, because you don't know if she's allergic to things or whatever, right? Be like, what sounds better to you? And if she's like, I don't know, you choose, then you choose. That's where you're gonna go, right? Now, that's grounded confidence, and that's what draws her in. Now, in the other scenario, she be like, well, hey, I'd love to get to talk to you a little bit more, get to know you. When are you available this week? She's like, well, I'm not really sure. How about I get to you? I'll get back to you when I know my schedule a little bit better. Well, that's when you kind of you step back in. You be like, well, how about this? When you figure out your schedule, just get back to me. And then basically you're withdrawing the offer. You're taking it back. You're not gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll just be I'll be free anytime you want. It's like, well, how about this? When you find out your schedule and you know your availability, let me know. And that is where your congruence, what you say, has meaning. You're grounded in what you say and what you do. So a lot of guys, when they say, oh, it's, just let me know when you're free and get back to me, he waits like 2-3 days and be like, well, have you figured that out yet? It's like, no, she's going to see you as less than because you're not congruent anymore. You're not a man that sticks to what you say. So if she can't even trust that, how is she going to trust you when shit really hits the fan? And so when you say things to a woman, especially if it's coming from who you are and if that's your truth, that's where you align. And you stay consistent because that is your truth. Especially like a lot of guys, when they say things and they don't mean it, she loses respect because he's like, okay, now this guy's just being desperate. And you won't even think you're being desperate. Well, I waited 3 days. Well, you also said when you know your availability, get back to me. Because what you're really trying to do is see how her interest level is. Is she interested in me? Is she not? And if she's not, I'm not going to want to waste my time. I'm interested in her. That's great. But how I feel about her has nothing to do with how she feels about me. So I need to allow her to come to me. How so? By letting her know I am interested. I'm interested in taking you out. But if you're like, well, I don't really know my schedule. Well, you know what? Why don't you find out your schedule and get back to me? And then just leave it at that. And if you really, really, really want to, if she gave you a wishy-washy answer, my suggestion is that you can A, just walk away from it, or two, you can also wait 1 week. You can wait 1 week, okay? There's other coaches out there that says that women only get one chance per lifetime with you. One chance per lifetime. So you ask her out, she give you a wishy-washy answer. He would be like, well, I would never basically see her again. I would never contact her again. How I see it is sometimes people might have hard times and they really don't know their schedule. So if you wait another week, about 7 days, 8 days, 9, and then you reach back out, you'd be like, hey, do you know when your schedule is free? And she gives you another wishy-washy answer. That's it. Delete that number. You don't need that number ever again. You can walk away because she is not interested. And if she is interested, then you could be like, hey, love to see you. I love to see you. And then you set a definite date. Now, control versus chasing. Controlling it comes from a place of desperation. Controlling comes from a place of desperation. Now, when you're chasing or you're pursuing, sorry, let me take that back. When you're pursuing someone, it comes from a place of desire. It means that, hey, I'm interested in you. I'd love to get to know you. I'm just testing the water to see if you're interested. It comes from a place of desire. The other is like, well, it comes from a place of desperation. And people we're so good at detecting whether or not we're very, very good human lie detectors. And we sense some awkwardness, or we sense that you might be a clingy, needy, desperate guy, especially women, if you're listening to this. Like, you've been around guys that are needy, desperate, needs to be constantly seeking validation, and they need a lot of things so that they can feel good about themselves. Usually they have other characteristics that is not really fun to have in a relationship. What's up, Karina? You could say that they might be some jealous type. They're argumentative. They're not raised in a good household, or they were never taught to learn how to become a better human being. And so that's what and it's like, well, why would you want to waste your time with someone like that? And so, especially guys, if you're watching this, you could work on yourself. And that's the beauty of all of this. It's like, you're not, there's definitely hope, but you have to put in the work. All right. Now, here's my last one. From people pleasing to having polarity, having sexual polarity in your relationship, right? Leading with principle, not with approval. You're not looking for approval. You're leading through how you feel about yourself, what you value. And that's why knowing who you are and moving forward with that is really important. Now, let's talk about this nice guy mindset, because I'm pretty sure you guys heard about it consistently. The nice guy mindset is built on approval. He thinks if he is perfect with her, or perfect enough, and he's understanding enough, he's nice, he's understanding, he's this perfect guy, she will finally see value in him. But attraction, like I said, it does not work that way. Attraction doesn't work that way. You don't earn desire by just being agreeable, aka yes man. Attraction doesn't work like that. You inspire it by being authentic, by being who you are. That's not what I want to do, and I'm okay with that. And if that's not what you want, I can walk away from it. Now, when you stop leading with that, when you stop leading with, will she like me if I say this? And you start leading with, well, is this true to who I am as a person? Is this true? Is this what I really believe in? That's usually the part where everything starts to change, because that is how you're being a little bit more assertive within yourself. You have self-respect within yourself, and you're like, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Now, you shift from people pleasing, from chasing to attracting her. That is the biggest misconception where a lot of guys get mixed up. They're like, oh, I gotta chase her. No, you don't. Stop watching movies on Netflix where the guy gives this grand gesture and she's like, oh my God, I just realized I fell in love with you. Like, I didn't know for the first hour and a half. I didn't really care. But now, after this grand gesture, I love him. It's like, no, that's not how it works, okay? That's also how you could get, restraining orders and, get ghosted. So be careful with that. So you shift from that, you start leading. And when you lead, that is attractive. Women, like I said, they're not drawn to being perfect. They're drawn to a guy that is genuine. They're just drawn to a guy who he is. That's who you are. And a man who knows who he is and knows what he stands for, he doesn't tolerate a lot of things. It's like, well, I'm just gonna walk away from this because I don't agree with this, and that's okay, right? That's a man she respects, and the man that she would desire. And you have to remember this too. I know that's a lot of information I'm giving you guys, but where respect goes, love follows. Look at any long-term relationship. If you ever go to Target, go to Walmart, go anywhere where a couple is shopping, okay? Maybe she's pushing the baby, right? And he's walking behind her. And she's basically leading, right? Maybe she has a kid, maybe she doesn't, whatever. But she's leading, physically, just walking in front of him. And he's just kind of like in the back, following her. I'm not saying like, I'm saying like the guy's kind of following her, right? There's no respect. And there's no different than being in a loveless, sexless relationship or marriage. You're basically roommates when you stop leading as a guy. And so that's why, as a guy, you have to constantly give yourself audits of whether or not is your woman happy. You have to stay consistent. What she said 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago has nothing to do with how she feels at a current time. Feeling is present. If she said, I love you 2 weeks ago, but now she's like, but 5 minutes ago, she was like, I hate you. Well, you got to take that as face value and be like, well, she did love me, and that's great. But right now, she hates me. I wonder why. Let's figure it out. And then figure out a way to make her feel better. And be like, well, why do you hate me, babe? What do I do for me to deserve this hate? Because I don't feel good when I'm being hated. So what is it? What's going on? Especially for someone that I care about so much, that I love, right? It's like, you don't take it too serious. It doesn't bother you that she hates you. Yeah, you can hate me all you want. Go ahead. You can hate me while I go to Chipotle and get some food because you sound hangry as hell right now. So I'll be right back. Is that all right? And then you basically just fuck with her. It's okay, right? So she wants genuine. That's what she wants. Woman doesn't want perfection. She wants genuine. And so, if you want sexual polarity, okay, if you want sexual polarity in a relationship, you have to know who you are and what you stand by. You have to know who you are, what you stand by. Now, the man who constantly basically seeks her approval destroys any chance of having chemistry or sexual polarity. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I want sex, but don't do anything to build up to that. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's certain things that you have to do as a guy to work your way up. You have to, no matter where you are at in a relationship, don't ever forget to date and court your woman. Because if you don't, eventually another man will. So, let's take a step back. When kindness becomes strength, it's not weakness. Your kindness does not become weakness, because you're leading, you're listening. Just because you're being kind and you're setting yourself some certain boundaries, you're like, yeah, I understand. But if you absolutely do not believe in what she says, you're like, hey, you know what? That's not what I believe. I believe that this is this. Like, you have to understand there's a time and place for everything. And most of the time, when she's expressing how she feels has nothing to do with how she thinking logically. Even though it doesn't make any damn sense to you as a guy, now unless she's completely batshit crazy, right? You have to understand that how she feels, it's like, I understand that your feelings has nothing to do with this logic, but I'm trying my best to understand how you feel, what I said that caused you to feel like this, like this. Why? Because you're important to me. And whenever a woman expresses how she feels, you want to do your best to listen completely before making any type of judgment. Because for most guys, most of the time it's not going to make any sense. It's like, wait, you're pissed off because of this, but this whole time she was pissed off because she's just hungry. You're like, holy shit, that could have been solved with some food, but yet this, and she's just hangry. Okay, what she just said doesn't make any sense. Okay, babe, you're just hungry. Okay, we'll get you some food, and then we could talk about this, okay? I'm not saying... Basically, what you're saying to her is, whatever she feels, you're validating her feelings, and that her feelings are important, and you're willing to listen. All right? So, kindness becomes strength. It becomes very powerful. It is not weakness. Don't let other guys on the internet tell you, oh, you can't be kind to her. You got to treat women with disrespect. Like, no, I mean, you could try to do that. You're not going to get very far. And even if you do get those type of women, they're probably broken in some way. So you're not going to have a healthy relationship. So if that's what you want to do, by all means, you go do it, homie. Go do it. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a drama-free life. Someone that supports what I do and we could grow together. To me, that's way more important than just constantly moving on to the next relationship. I've heard so many things. I've heard a lot of guys talk about, oh, you know, all men cheat. No, you cheat. Not all men do. You cheat. There's a difference, okay? You just lack integrity. So say that. And that's okay. Why? Because that's what you believe in, and maybe you got money. You could just do that. By all means, go cheat. But don't say all men do. You do. Okay? But don't take away that attraction is not a choice, and I understand that. If I see a beautiful woman, I'm going to acknowledge that that woman is beautiful. It doesn't mean I'm going to act in a way that's going to be disrespectful to my girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what's important. So, a lot of guys, they get that twisted. So, anyways, for all the guys out there, right? Teaching other guys, women are like this, and they're hypergamous, and, you know, like, men and women both, okay? Men and women both. They want to date people that they perceive are better than us, or kind of out of our league. It's like knowing that we got a good person. Like, hey, damn, we got a good one, right? For a lot of guys, it's like how she looks. Because a lot of guys, they fall in love with their eyes, okay? First. I'm not saying women don't. But a lot of guys, they fall in love with the eyes. Women, they mostly fall in love with their ears. So it takes a little bit longer for a woman to fall in love with you. You can't rush that process. Usually between 6 to 8 weeks, right? If you do everything properly. But 6 to 8 weeks, doing everything properly, it takes time for her to fall in love with you. So what do you think is going to happen when you stop doing the things that you need to do as a guy? And she slowly starts to fall out of love for you. You got to build that attraction back up. And so that means that men, we have to practice infinite patience. That is how we become more successful with women or anything in that nature in life. You got to be patient within yourself. You got to trust the process, and you just got to continue doing that and slowly build your character. That's what it is. Same thing for going to the gym, or same thing as learning a skill. You have to have patience and believe in the process and be genuine and align with your goals and values. And that is how you become one of the very, very, very rare guys. And, you know, You start to hear it a lot. I've never met anyone like you. I've never met a guy like you. I also hear a lot, we never argue. Yeah, we don't. I don't argue. I could be upset and I can let you know I'm upset, but I won't ever argue. Okay? I wouldn't ever argue with my woman. It's not something that I want to do because I know the repercussions of that. Okay? So, now, a woman needs to know that he deserves her or that I deserve her. Like, I deserve this. Why? Because I've worked my way up to build my life and lifestyle for this type of person in my life. I deserve her. Not to say that she belongs to me. Maybe she got a little kink, and you could say that you're my property. Damn. You could say that if she's already a girl. Maybe she likes that, and that's all good, right? Some women like that, a little assertiveness, and that's okay. Time and place. Remember, time and place. But like I said, a woman needs to know that you deserve her. That's how you stay firm, become a leader, and avoid abuse. Now, I said this. If you ever been like this nice guy, right? Let's kind of sum it all up. If you always been this kind of nice guy your whole entire life, like I have too, not my entire life, but for a good period of time, and I heard, oh, let's just be friends. I only see you as a friend, Mitchell, right? Basically, this is a wake up call for you. This is a wake up call. You're never too old for this, right? Kindness is powerful, but when it is only backed up with boundaries. Having boundaries, that is very, very important. So stop trying to be liked and start living by your standards, because the moment you respect yourself, everyone else follows. Now, if you found this video content of value today, or you're watching this on a rerun, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't, and share it to one of your friends, your family, whoever that you feel like needs to hear this. Because this content is about you becoming better, becoming stronger, becoming a more grounded man. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.